Let's get to it. Welcome back to Unlocking Your More podcast with Janna Holterman. I am confident that you have experienced this as much as I have in my life, where I felt that I could create happiness and fulfillment in my life if I just would accomplish the next thing, right? That next goal, the career, the relationship, the house, the car, the dog, all of these things. I felt like once I got to that finish line, I would feel happier. I would feel fulfilled when I earned a certain potential or income or whatever it is, right? Had a certain friend group, right? There's so many of these things that I literally spent years going after. And this is not something that is abnormal. The reason being is that the society, the culture that most of us live in conditions this into us. We are always working towards goals and milestones. Literally from the moment that you are born, your parents taking you to the pediatrician, there is milestones that they want you to reach, right? Everything is like bell curved of like, which percentile are you at? So literally from the moment you're born, you are put into categories and percentiles, and you have milestones and goals and things that you are supposed to be achieving. And what that has done is basically conditioned that we always are working towards something, and we're not quite good enough, worthy enough until we get to the goal. However, we aren't actually trained or really conditioned to celebrate, to sit with the goal, to actually like let it sink in and celebrate ourselves, right? Because we get to the goal and we're like, okay, on to the next thing. I mean, that was fine and all, but like so-and-so is doing better than me, so I better keep pushing, keep going, keep working harder, on to the next thing, because it's the next thing that's going to actually make me feel happy. It's the next, promotion that's going to help me feel fulfilled or have more time or more capacity or solve my burnout problem. It's if I go back to school and get my master's degree, that's going to be the thing that solves my problems. How many times have you told yourself that? How many times have you gotten trapped in that cycle? How many times have you actually completed and finished that thing that you said that you were going to do? You hit that milestone, and then what? Do you even remember hitting that milestone? Right? Think about like big things that have happened in your life, really big accomplishments. Maybe it is a wedding or a graduation or something like that. You accomplished that thing that you were probably working towards and anticipating for years, right? If you did like a bachelor's degree or a PhD or something like that, like literally like 4 years you were working towards something. You got to the graduation, and then what, right? You got married, and then what? On to the next thing. Let's talk about having kids. Let's talk about that house, the car. Let's talk about getting the pool. You graduated? Okay, well, like now it's the career. How long have you spent on to the next thing? All right. Doing that little self-assessment, probably we've spent 35 seconds being like, oh yeah, I accomplished that thing. Literally the graduation ceremony or literally the wedding ceremony. And then we're like, all right, cool, moving on. What's the next thing in life, right? Like we're all quote unquote busy. We're all always moving on to the next thing. People are always trying to achieve the next thing. Now, take that to the side for a second. If you were to rate yourself on a scale of 0 to 100, 100% being the highest, how happy would you say you are? Right? How happy would you say you are? Because when I intuitively look in for the collective that is listening to this, when we actually look at how genuinely happy you are, the average is 26%. out of 100 being the highest? Is that genuinely where we want to land? Right? And then if I look at, okay, out of 100%, 0 to 100, how fulfilled would you rate yourself? And you can separate this into categories of your life, your career, your romantic relationship, your friends, or you can just do overall. 0 to 100, 100% being the highest. How fulfilled are you? Because when I intuitively look into the collective that's listening to this, average, it's 13%. So there's a problem, right? We've spent fucking years telling ourselves, I'll be happy when, I'm going to be fulfilled when I just accomplish this goal, when I just do this thing. But it didn't create the happiness or fulfillment, did it? And when you really are honest with yourself and where you're at right now, are you happy? Are you fulfilled? Are you where you said you wanted to be? Because so many of us are. So many of us have accomplished the things that we said we wanted to accomplish. Right? We have to give ourselves credit where credit is due. Like, give yourself your flowers, because you have worked so fucking hard. You have grinded and you have showed up and you have defied the odds because you are a high achieving individual, right? Like, you have figured it out and you are so capable. But your brain, your subconscious brain, your nervous system, it's never been programmed to actually perceive what you've done as successful. So if you've never been conditioned to perceive what you've done in your life as enough, it's going to be fucking impossible to feel genuinely happy on a regular basis or fulfillment, right? So the fulfillment percentage of 13%, that's on average, y'all are feeling 13% fulfilled. And so many of you are like, yeah, no, I'm actually like in my dream job, but it's not the way that I feel like it should be. And here's the thing. I have literally spent the last handful of years working one-on-one with nurses and healthcare professionals, physicians, right? In my burnout practice before I transitioned to my current niche, right? And so I can tell you the most high achieving people who have loads of degrees, have really successful careers, are actually helping people. You'd think that they'd be the ones that are happy and fulfilled, but they were so not. They were second guessing all of their decisions. They were like beating the crap out of themselves and being like, well, why did I even do this? And it wasn't the fact that they were helping people. They were doing what they said that they wanted to do. They achieved all of their goals. And you know what, our logical brain is like, well, you should be happy, right? But that's not where happiness comes from. And we've been so conditioned that our brains don't know how to feel happy and fulfilled. They don't. They really don't, because all they've been taught is you need to be working towards a milestone. On to the next thing, on to the next thing. It's never been taught how to actually pause, how to actually be like, wow, I really did an amazing thing. I am comfortable with celebrating myself. And we can take a pause. I know I mentioned this regularly, but like, how well do you accept compliments? Even if somebody's like, wow, you did a good job. Did you actually feel that to your core? No, probably not. Probably not. You're already on to the next thing. Moving the fuck on, right? Because our nervous system doesn't know how to deal with it. Because it's not part of our baseline functioning, right? Our brains constantly work on autopilot, and your autopilot for your brain is on to the next thing. Keep going, keep achieving. You need to do more, be more. If it doesn't work the way that you want it to, well, you better work harder and figure it out. I've been there. It fucking sucks. So, what is actually happiness? What is actually like fulfillment? Like, how do we feel it? The biggest thing is our brains love evidence, right? Our brains love evidence. So what your brain is finding evidence for is based on your subconscious brain programming. So if your brain is telling you that you're not working hard enough, that you're not enough, that what you've accomplished isn't good enough, you need to create something that's story worthy, right? Like if you go hang out with your friends, do you always have to like have something to share that you're working on? So if that's the case, what your brain is finding evidence for is that you haven't done enough, that you haven't worked hard enough, that you haven't earned the right to be satisfied. But the way that your brain is finding, what it's doing is it's focusing on all of the negatives, all of the things that are just going to amplify and cause you to beat the crap out of yourself, because I've been there, right? It sucks. So in order to feel happiness, we have to shift the things that our brain is finding evidence for. And when we do this, we want to find new evidence and actually sit with it. And what I mean by sitting with it is I don't want you to just go through this mental exercise and then move on. I want you to go through this mental exercise and find evidence to support it, and then be like, okay, well, what does that actually like feel like in my body? What is the essence of that like when I think about this? Like, how does that feel in my body? Is there a part of my body that lights up? Is there a part of my body that feels uncomfortable? Like what's happening in my very essence when I think about this? And you're like, that's going to be scary and really uncomfortable. Yeah, because you haven't allowed yourself to process and feel things, right? Because we've been told that our emotions are holding us back, but that's one of the biggest freaking lies that we have been fed. Emotions are the like single most important almost success indicator. Because if we are just thinking the thoughts and taking the actions, but we don't feel it, the feelings is actually what tells your subconscious brain, your hippocampus, your amygdala, which are responsible for taking things that you've experienced and turning it into long-term memories. The amygdala normally does the more negative and scary fear-based things, but the hippocampus is more positive and good things, right? So we really want to utilize how our brains and bodies work together to change the way that our brain functions the fastest. And I can guarantee you, if you sit and you feel the emotion, your nervous system is going to get more comfortable with feeling that way, which means it's more likely to do it again. And your brain is going to see this way of thinking as emotionally significant, and it's going to put it into your subconscious brain. And the more repetitions you do of this, the more your brain is going to naturally start to choose that new way of thinking. And that new way of thinking is going to be supporting you actually genuinely feeling and finding evidence for how you're happy in your life and how you can feel fulfilled in what you've created, right? Okay, so let's start with happiness. Happiness, really, what do we have to do to create happiness? Happiness is finding the things that genuinely bring you joy and make you consistently happy. So what are the things that you genuinely freaking love, right? A lot of this times this comes from passions and hobbies, but also in your career. Like, what are the parts of your job you actually enjoy doing? What are the parts that you genuinely really like? How do you focus on those? And even if that's only 10% of your job, focus on it. Find the evidence. Focus on your brain to that thing of like, hey, I got to do that thing that I really liked. How do I bring more fun and joy into this? How do I just okay, you know what? I'm obsessed with my dog, right? Obsessed with my dog. Like, how do I focus my brain on how fun it can be to play with a squeaky toy and run around the house? Like, how do I find my focus, right? So how do I focus my brain on those things that bring you joy, and how do you create more of them? And this is the thing. A lot of us are actually doing some of these activities. Like, you might have passions and hobbies that are part of your routine, but how much are you actually paying attention while you're doing them? And how much are you focusing your brain on like, hey, oh my God, like I was literally supporting myself because I chose to do that activity. How fun was it when I went out with my friends and, you know, we paint, like last week we did a pottery wheel class, and we painted the pottery that we made on the pottery wheel, right? How fun was that? Right? That brought joy to me. That was really fun to do that with my friends. So find specific things. Another key piece to genuine happiness in your life is finding evidence for and recognizing yourself for the things that you do unlike anybody else in this world. So where is your unique and specialness found? What do you do that kind of goes against the status quo, but it's like so damn uniquely you, and it's the best freaking thing? So you do the same job as somebody else, okay, but how do you do it in your own unique way that sets you apart? The more you find that evidence of how nobody else does it like me, I am so incredible because I do it in this particular way and nobody else does it that way, you're going to feel a million times better. You're going to actually be like, yeah, like I am the fucking best, right? Like this is how we want to talk to ourselves. And this is not about trying to prove it to anybody else. These are all things that you're finding for yourself. You can think about it in your brain. You can speak it out loud to yourself. I wouldn't speak it out loud to anybody else. And you can write it down. But this is stuff that you are finding for you. I wouldn't be sharing this with other people. Really just do this as an exercise for yourself. The reason we don't want to share it with other people is because it can kind of take some of the power away, because a lot of the times we have worries about how other people will perceive us and judge us. And if somebody else has doubt, that doubt is way more likely to water down what we are finding evidence for and thinking about ourselves, and it's going to negatively affect your ability to do this. So make this your little routine. Get up in the morning and do this. Go for your walk. Think about this. How are you doing things that genuinely bring you joy? What are those things? Find evidence for it. What did you do today that was something that you like, you know what, that was like 15 seconds of joy. Okay, how do I make it 30 seconds tomorrow? How do I make it 5 minutes the next day, right? How do we expand the things that we genuinely bring us joy and have a little fun with it? Like, how do I make my stingy corporate job fun? How do I make it more enjoyable? And then what are you doing that nobody else in the world is doing, right? Like, what do you do that makes you so damn unique? Like, how are you going against the status quo with the way that you think about this thing, the way that you show up, the way that you do that nobody else? How are you, showing up in your friendships, your relationships, your job like nobody else does? And that's why you are so incredibly special. Find that evidence. Okay. Fulfillment. Fulfillment truly comes from finding evidence that you are working and creating like rewards for yourself, moving you towards the life that you want. So there's two pieces of this. Number one, we have to have a definition of the life that we want. When you say things like, oh, well, I want to be successful, what the fuck does that even mean? Because if you asked me, and I asked you, and we asked Sally Joe, and we asked Billy Bob, we all have definitions that are so different for what success means to each and every one of us, right? So what does your ideal life look like? What do you want for yourself? What do you want for a career? And you don't have to be specific, because you maybe you don't know. You're like, okay, well, I genuinely want to help people, and I can see myself working with people in like this capacity. Or maybe you're like, you know what, fuck people, I don't want anything to do with people, like give me the puppies, give me the dogs, I want to just work with the dogs. Or I don't know, dolphins. You're like, I really want to be a marine dolphin specialist. I don't know, right? Like, but what is the thing that you're like, this just like when I think about it, I'm like, that lights me up. I really want to work towards that. That is something that I want. Okay, we have to define it. So you define that thing that you're like, okay, I really want to work towards that. Beautiful. Now, how are you moving the needle towards what you want every day? And this is the tricky thing with our brains, especially if your brain has been conditioned that you're not doing enough, that you're not working hard enough, is going to be really, really hard. But how is you just taking care of yourself, helping you work towards your goal? How is you showing up in your career? Maybe you're like, well, I'm a secretary, but I really want to be that dolphin specialist. Well, how does me being a secretary help me be a dolphin specialist? Okay, well, what am I doing in this that's actually like building skills? How is like my ability to effectively communicate as a secretary actually helping me be a dolphin specialist? Well, if I want to be a dolphin specialist, maybe I want to go into educating people. And my people skills as a secretary is going to directly help me communicate and teach so that other people can be just as passionate about dolphins as I am. Right? This is where we have to go with our brains. We have to find that evidence of like, how are you moving the needle every single day, moving you closer to what you want in life. So where are you seeing your accomplishments? Where are you being like, oh yeah, there's a little reward here because I accomplished this thing and that is moving me closer to what do I want? And the more you find that evidence and focus your brain on those things, the better you're going to feel, the happier you're going to be, and the more fulfilled that you are. All right. Let me know, message me on Instagram, see how this clicks. Let me know how, you can find fulfillment and happiness. Like, where are you now? And like, what do you want to accomplish? And tell me how, like, where did your brain go with this? Like, I want to hear from each and every one of you. So if this sounds like something that like, yeah, this is kind of where I'm at, this is what I want to be, I am hosting a in-person retreat in October. What we're going to be doing is diving into how to get your brain, your body, your nervous system to let go of just being so incredibly hard on yourself. We want to let go of that and start to build up this self-belief in who you are and who you are becoming so that you can fully step into this next level version of you in a sustainable, burnout-free way. So we're going to be diving into that. So that is October 2nd through 5th in Tampa, Florida. It is in person. The accommodations are included, as well as food for Saturday and Sunday of the retreat. So I look forward to seeing some of you there. And otherwise, I'll talk to y'all next week.